You know, they say you should never judge a book by its cover, but I judge these by their cover, and they really, really did surprise me. Let's talk about them. Here we have the Mizuno Neo Zen, the version 1, the ones that came out last year, not the version 2. These are the Mizuno Neo Zen ones in the Onihanya colorway. As you can see, two different colors, same shoe, same pair. And the main reason why I wanted to get these is because I've been, ever since my marathon, I ran a marathon last month in Kyoto, Japan. I've been wanting to test out some Japanese brands when it comes to running shoes. I just wanted to invest in a daily trainer for the next marathon block that I'm currently in, actually. I'm running the Mexico City Marathon in August. And I wanted to try out the Mizuno's daily trainer option, the Neo Zen. Right off the bat, what I want to do with these performance reviews, specifically for running shoes, is I'm going to be focusing on year-old designs, year-old shoes that have been in the market for a couple of years max. Because one of the things and one of the mottos that I live by is that if I'm going to buy a shoe, especially one that is meant to perform and it's not for, style, and it's more so to actually run in them, play in them, work out in them, whatever it is, I always want to find a sale on it. So these performance reviews are going to be targeted towards, shoes that you can currently get that are on sale, or that are at least like a year old and, they've been in the market, and kind of compare and see if a year after everybody has worn them and everybody's ran in them, if they're still worth it to invest for someone who's kind of like me, who wants a deal in running shoes. The reason why I got these specifically is because of the design. I am a big fan of crazy designs when it comes to running shoes and shoes in general, to be honest. I've dressed in all black a lot, and I always want to make sure that my shoes are the center of attention. And these specifically are a great style. These both, this specific colorway is two different color shoes, a blue left shoe and a red right shoe. And these have Hanya masks in the inner side of the shoe. And I just found them really interesting, really cool, very traditionally Japanese with the Hanya mask in both shoes. So I just had to really get them. I've ran almost 50 miles in them over the past week or so. So a lot of thoughts have gone into the review of this shoe. So the upper is all mesh, is a mesh fabric, as you can tell. Very breathable, very cool. It makes it so the shoe, your feet don't overheat, and it does a great job at that. It's all fabric all throughout. It's got the Mizuno logo on both sides with kind of like these tiger stripes on each side, rather kind of reflective a little bit. Really do like them. And of course, you got the Hanya mask over here. The shoelaces are in not much to write home about. Cut in through the eyelets are cut in through the fabric. They do hug your feet really well whenever you lace them up. I haven't had any issues with that, but one of the main issues that I do have when it comes with the upper is that there's not a lot of structure to it. It's all mesh, so even though it's breathable, the form is rather lacking. So that is one of my main complaints I have with this specific shoe, is that it's not a stable shoe overall. It is it does the job for someone who already knows how to run, who has probably stronger feet or stronger legs in order to like really keep that stability well. But if you're a heavier runner, if you're someone who's starting out running, that lack of stability is definitely going to catch up to you, and it's definitely going to catch you off guard. One of my main complaints with this specific shoe is that I've already half twisted, not fully twisted because I didn't injure myself, my ankle whenever I hit corners at high speeds. Again, it's that lack of stability, especially with the foam being so high up. It is a pretty high shoe, pretty stacked shoe. And the lack of stability on the upper kind of lends itself for you to roll your ankle in those really sharp turns if you're not careful. But overall, I mean, that is also one of the attractive things of this shoe. It's the way the upper looks. I think it's very stylish. I think that mesh shoes fabric shoes are really they're really hard to sell people on, but I really do enjoy them. I don't know, there's something about them that I just think they're very stylish. They kind of remind me of, you know, when Yeezys were coming up back in the day, you know, that whole era of running shoes kind of like entering the market of fashion, quote unquote, with the NMDs and all those type of shoes. I grew up during that era, so it's kind of like a callback to that. So that's a reason why I kind of like mesh uppers. But besides that, I mean, the style, everything is really, really nice. That's everything there is to the upper. No structure, you know, there's no padding either, so that kind of adds to the lack of stability to it. So if you're a heavier runner, if you require more stability, you definitely don't want to get this shoe. Now let's go into the midsole. The midsole is a full-on foam. There's no plates in this. There's not even plastic plates, no carbon plates. It's all foam throughout. It has its Mizuno Energy NXT foam. The foam is rather plush. It is very plush. It helps for those recovery runs, but it's still comfortable enough for long runs. Just today, I ran a half marathon distance, 13 miles in them, and they really did push me through the whole run with no issues. Now, of course, I come from running in Brooks Go 17s. Those are more stability focused and less foamy, less plush. So this is, I want to say, like my true first high stack foam shoe that I've fully on worn. So it's been very comfortable to run in these shoes. I've really, really liked them so far, and it's helped me immensely. The foam specifically, it's helped me immensely with impact to my knees and my feet. And as I said, you know, I'm comparing them to the Brooks Go 17, which have a firmer foot, and their foam is less reactive, I would say. This foam is plush, yet it's still reactive. It gives you good enough energy returns that it kind of feels, it feels like a faster shoe for it to be a recovery / long run daily trainer. It does kind of rock you forward with that push, with that reactivity from the foam. So it's a very good daily trainer, and it's dynamic enough that you can wear it for recovery runs, for long runs, and even for a little bit of speed work. But I will say that I would not go on make this your dedicated speed shoe, not at all. I will say though, it is extremely lightweight, especially for such a stacked foam. It weighs around 240 grams, which is very, very low. It's very, very light overall for a daily trainer, for a very foam heavy daily trainer. So that's an extremely good thing. It's very affordable, obviously, duh, I talked about that. This is the whole premise of the performance reviews. But for the amount of comfort that you're getting, even if you don't get these on the sale, I got these for $110 on the Mizuno website. But if you get them at the original price, which I believe is between $150 to $160, I think that's still a really good price for a daily trainer, for the amount of miles you can put in this shoe, and for the different type of runs you would actually be running in this shoe. The traction overall, I will say it's kind of decent, but it's not the best. I haven't lost traction at all in some of my runs. I've ran in wet roads, I've ran in muddy terrain, and I will say that I have felt a little bit of instability when it comes to running in those type of surfaces, especially with like freshly watered sidewalks. It does feel like as if you can slip if you're not paying close attention. And I don't recommend running in those conditions, but hey, if you find yourself running on the sidewalk and you step on mud, you're probably going to slip in these. They're not the best at that. I will say that this overall is a great option for a daily trainer, for easier and long runs that doesn't really hold you back because of how much foam there is in this shoe, because it's still, even though it's plush, the energy return to it is pretty decent. If you're a heavier runner, you require more stability, or are a heel striker, because I will say the heel portion of the midsole is rather plush, and you kind of do sink in a little bit if you're not running and falling on your midfoot or your forefoot. So that's something to take into consideration. Even though it's reactive foam, still you might want to be conscientious about, you know, if you're a heel striker overall. This shoe might not be the best fit for you if you fall within those categories. I've quite enjoyed this shoe, mainly for its value and because of my past experience, obviously, with the Go 17 as my daily trainers, and because I ran a marathon in the Go 17 and I kind of like ended up with some pain because of how rigid and how firm that foam is in comparison to this. And I think the weight of the Brooks Go 17 really also added to that pain issue. The Go 17 foam was rigid, as I said. It did not produce enough energy return, so half the time it felt like I was working harder every step. And again, don't get me wrong, like the Go 17 was still a good shoe, a good starter shoe, I would say, for a daily trainer and for running longer runs, because I mean, I did run my first marathon in it, but I feel that if I had ran my first marathon with these shoes, the Mizuno Neo Zen one, I probably could have finished with less pain in the long run. Overall, I think this is a great daily trainer option for recovery runs, longer runs, easier runs, but the foam, again, is reactive enough that you can actually push it to its limits really easily, and I think it's a good value. And I think this falls in between kind of like that daily trainer, easy runs, but it's still good enough, and the foam is reactive enough that you can get some real good speed on these, some comfortable speeds. I'm not going to say sprinting in these would be any better than a plated shoe. But folks, I've been True Fernie. This has been True Fernie. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, because believe it or not, every single bit helps. Links to my socials are down below. Please make sure to follow me on Blue Sky, where I spend most of my waking hours talking about anything and everything that might interest you as my viewer. Again, I have more reviews coming on. I'm going to focus on shoes that I can get on sale, that I can get good deals on, or shoes that have been on the market for quite some time. And this is mostly aimed at beginner or casual runners, people that are just trying to get, you know, those daily miles in and not worry so much about speed or taking these things as seriously as like an elite runner. Of course, I'm not an elite runner, but I do like running, and I think that that would be kind of like my niche. I do have a review coming up. I'm going to start reviewing the Adidas Evo SLs, the best shoe of last year. I'm sure there's not a lot that I can add to that conversation, but from a value perspective, I think that right now is when you would want to get those shoes, especially because I know that Adidas is working on the what's it called? The Hyper Boost, if I'm not mistaken. That release just came out last week, so I feel that the Evo SL is kind of going to take a backseat, and now's the time to really invest in getting some Evo SLs, especially for daily runners. But folks, please take care of one another, but most importantly, take care of yourself. Peace.